Hello, my name is Rich Howard, and I'm the owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is going to be talking about and going through the steps of basically building a work area, a desk we're going to build, and we're going to add some other creature comforts to a environment in which I spend time working in. So let's move forward and let me show you what I have in mind. So the next thing really to do is probably to pull that outlet to where I want it to have behind me where I'm sitting currently, where we're going to need our coffee maker. So we'll tap off of that junction box that I had showed you earlier, and let's take a look and see what that's going to look like. Just adding an outlet back here is really all that we're doing. Turn that circuit off at the fuse panel is what we're going to do. That is definitely plugged in. I've got that turned off, and what I'm going to do is get my voltmeter, and I'm going to make sure that there's no power at the opening at these wires. I touched an electric fence on the farm when I was a child, and I quickly realized I never want to do that again. Lots of volts, just low amperage, which would actually make sense. E equals I times R, voltage equals amperage times resistance, so probably lots of volts and low amperage would be my guess. You don't want to kill the livestock, but it got my attention. I'm going to get in there and pull those wires open. Ideally, I would have the power turned off at the service coming in, but I wouldn't want to work in the dark, to be frank. Sometimes when I pull a circuit, I will always leave myself an opportunity with a junction box so that in the future, if I do need to add an outlet somewhere, I've got power. And this circuit is really going to feed some stereo equipment, and it's a 20 amp circuit, so I'm not even remotely concerned about ever overwhelming it. All I'm going to have on this circuit is going to be some AV equipment, and then a coffee maker is it. We'll have plenty to go around in terms of amperage. I also had screwdrivers evaporate in my hand, or at least the tips of them, because was working something hot and slipped, which is patently stupid to do that. Patently stupid. But I was on a job site with my uncle, who was a union journeyman electrician, and we were at a Service Merchandise, which was a department store in Chicago many decades ago. And he had to add a circuit, and it was 10 in the morning or noon or whatever it was. And the store was open, and he couldn't turn the power off. He would turn the power off to the entire store. So I remember him teaching me the dangerous nature of doing that and the unrecommended nature of doing that. But I thought he was so cool. Just being able to do that is just the bottom line. I've got the neutral and the hot wires exposed, so let me turn on my voltmeter. The V with the squiggly line is alternating current. There's nothing there. .3 volts. So it's less than the voltage on a AA battery. We'll leave this set up, because we're going to want to test it after we turn it all back on. So we're safe to work this, at least without being paranoid. So I'll just strip it here and we'll pull it through and make one cut on the other end. I like to wear the gloves as often as I can. I just want to keep the micro pieces of metal off my fingertips. So that extra wire I don't need, I'm just going to make that go away. Stripping wires is super easy if you spend the money for the right tool. This Milwaukee 48-22-3083 wire stripper is really awesome. I wish Milwaukee tools were made in the United States. I don't believe they are, but they work. They're good quality. So this is 14 gauge. I'm going to set it from the second, from the left, that's 14. I'm going to get my 3/4 inch or so of it exposed. Here's the action. It'll pinch it and then pull it. And you're going to want to do this in like a clockwise fashion, meaning the tool this way. Otherwise, it'll push the wire that way, so it has to be like this, and it will pull that off. Awesome. I mean, it works so well. Love that tool. Love that tool. Let's get the wires twisted together. Do the black first.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
Oh, that was close. Ha! I need to feed it through here first. I've done that where I've terminated wires and I realized I didn't go through a knockout. That was close. One thing to be doing it at ground level. It's another thing to do it 15 feet up in the air, which was the last time I actually did this. These are just flexible conduit squeeze connectors, they call them. And before I use them, I break that little piece of metal there that is holding it together, because otherwise it will be harder to do it with the screwdriver trying to tighten it onto the conduit. So let's get another tool. And these Milwaukee needle nose pliers I use, it's nice to be able to get wires moved where you need to when the blunt end of this is just a little too extreme, quite frankly. I don't use it for twisting wire though, it's too small for that. So let's break that piece of metal. Okay, it's broken, right? Let's check the other one. It's broken. Okay, we're good. Now it's 3/4 inch, and this is a pretty big conduit, so it's not very flexible. Not without severely bending it, which we could. Go that direction with it. Okay, now we've got to create the knockout here for the 3/4 conduit. That. So now we have to go through our connector, get our connector on through here. Why use such big conduit? It's because it's what I have, and I'm okay with it being this sort of hodgepodge mix. I'm also okay with doing it myself and not calling an electrician, because the skill required for this is within my skill set, and the cost of electricians, and they're rightfully due what they charge, especially the ones that can recite code. And plus, the argument for hiring an electrician is that you'll hopefully hire someone that can recite code, and there's an actual skill to it. And it actually takes a long time to do this work. You don't realize how much time it takes to do electrical work until you're doing it. I'm going to be here for an hour pulling off, going 8 feet over. It's a lot of work, and it just is what it is. This is indoor wire that I have here. Pull that through. Now the nut's got to come on. Ah! That's not funny. The lights went off. It has nothing to do with what I'm doing. Boy, had the power been turned on there, there's nothing you can do to move your hand quick enough. All right, let's get the neutral wires terminated. Actually, I don't know if terminating is the proper term for what I'm doing. I'm not terminating them. Let's get them spliced. Okie dokie. So, boom. Here's what we'll do. Let's not buy the farm before we go any further. Let's pull these wires back, turn the circuit back on, and then check for voltage to make sure that my connections are good. I'm going to turn the circuit on, and we're going to make sure that we get voltage across black and white and black and ground, voltage across hot and neutral, hot and ground, and no voltage across ground and neutral. Okay, so that circuit is on. So that means those wires should be live, so you absolutely don't want to forget that they're live. If I were to touch those two wires, it's probably going home early today. Turn the voltmeter back on. Hot and neutral. Yeah, 123.7. Hot and ground. 123.7. Ground and neutral. Just a trace amount of voltage. I'm immediately going to go turn that circuit off. Immediately. Now I know that I turned the circuit off, but I'm going to test for voltage now just to be sure. Hot and neutral. Yeah, I get nothing. I'm fine. Okay, so we are safely working. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to reposition everything over there and work in that second area where the box is actually going to go, but I'll actually do the work actually sitting right here, meaning I'm going to cut this wire back, and I'm going to get my two outlets and install it in the box. So, having fun with electricity.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
Okay, so it's been several days since I've been here, and I'm going to continue getting this ready to run that outlet down. I know that the circuit breaker's off in the sense that I left it off, but it would just be good etiquette to check these wires. Okay, we're getting nothing out of these wires. It's turned off. Okay. Now let's continue. This Fluke 107 meter that I have it's really nice because it is a very simplified interface. You're going to read voltage, you're going to read resistance, you're going to read amperage. And that's, in the world of builder's hardware, that's going to be pretty much everything that you're going to ever need to measure. Temperature is nice. This model, oh, continuity. Oh my goodness, continuity for sure you're going to measure. Temperature is nice. This, I don't think this 107 does temperature. I own one that does, but I've never, you know, with solenoids kind of going away, I really never thought it was going to end up being that crucial to be able to do it when I bought that. So let's continue wiring this. So I need to cut the wire back in order to get this all into the box. We need our flex coupler. We need to get that punched through. Now let's work on trimming these wires. We're going to cut it here. But we got to get a little fancy in the sense that we've got to run this through, and we're going to want to get that through, and right in about here is where we need to open up the wires in order to get to them so that we can splice them onto the first outlet. It'll become obvious what I'm doing very shortly. And I probably mentioned earlier, I would always, you know, not chafe. I would chafe at what an electrician charges. And then when you do this work yourself, you realize, oh, it takes a long time to actually do this work. Because it's, if you're not ultra proficient, it takes you longer. I don't have necessarily all the best tools for doing this, that's to be sure. But, even watching the electricians do this type of work, it takes time. It just simply does. There's no way around it.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
I'm going to pull the sheath off. That'll make life a lot easier for me. Cut back that unneeded fourth wire, the bare wire. All right, so I've got that stripped, and then what I'm going to do is use the utility blade to pull off that little piece. Okay, we've got the sheath beat back down. And what the point is I'm going to wrap this around one of the terminals, then this is going to run to the other side, is what's really going to happen here. And that's why I'm stripping it like this. So what I do, is looking with the wider plug to my left, the white wire is going to go here. White wire here to this white wire. Black wire here to this black wire. Could also go down here. That should be fine as well. Let's wire the first part. Okay, so I've got the first outlet wired. That'll end up getting pushed down, pushed in. Then what we need to do is bring the second outlet. And before I get them connected to the faceplate, I will close the circuit, the circuit in the fuse panel, and we'll verify that we've got voltage. Okay, kind of working them upside down now. Should be enough.
Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.